You're listening to The Straight Line on MRN.com, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices, every day. And also brought to you by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Hi, everybody. Ralph Shaheen and Doug Herbert here with you as we welcome you into MRN Straight Line presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. I am the underdressed one. This is the fashionably stylish one over here with the button-down collar, the buttoned-up. I mean,
it's an assigned shirt. It's an MRN assigned shirt.
I'm not assigned that number.
Okay. I'm gonna bring you one. I'm gonna bring you a special one.
I have to do this.
I'm gonna have your name embroidered on it.
Yeah.
Ralph Shaheen.
Isn't he supposed to get the initials on the cuffs? You got
on the cuff. Well,
yeah,
I don't have that.
You probably have that. Yeah. Well, that's what I get, I guess, for picking on you a little bit about maybe having to wear the.
There was no
Vegas
girl
Vegas.
Headdress worn over there at all. No, there was.
I
none.
did like the. Wasn't a trophy
the Cold
or
Hard
an
Art.
award,
Yeah.
but they gave you something to bring home for being the Grand Marshal.
Yeah, the NHRA and Denzo brought me home, they gave me a trophy made by the Cold Hard Art guy up there in Indy. And what a neat fabricator he is. And the trophy was neat. So I've got it sitting on my desk. I should have brought it in so we could have it on display here during the show, but I forgot.
And it was the tree.
It was a Christmas tree made out of valves and some pushrod parts and stuff.
Really cool.
Yeah. So for listeners, that Cold Hard Art is the name of his business. But he just makes all kinds of cool stuff. About like Randy LaJoy. Randy and Corey LaJoy make some neat car part stuff, and Cold Hard Art does the same thing. And he made these for NHRA, and I'm lucky enough to get one. So very cool.
Yeah. So what was the best part of your weekend?
Oh, man. Clay Milliken running the weekend with brakes,
that was neat.
big brakes on his car. Denzo was the main sponsor, and he had brakes on the whole front of the car. And, he performed great, had a great run on race day, got to the final round, came up a little short. But it was, I think having Clay, as a brakes ambassador for the weekend was probably the best thing. And just all the folks at Denzo treated Mimi and I just great. It was a great weekend. It was just a great weekend, had a great time. They gave us a helicopter ride down the strip, with.
Did you try to fly it?
No, they kept the controls out of my hand. They would, I'd be doing
Smart.
something silly. Yeah. Exactly. Very smart probably on their part. But it was great. At nighttime, flying down the strip, I mean, they're flying like below the height of the, whatever they call it over there,
stratosphere.
Stratosphere.
You're below that.
Yeah, we're below the stratosphere. I mean, flying down the strip in the helicopter. It was really cool. I would suggest if you go to Vegas, and I don't know how much it costs because I didn't have to pay for it. Denzo paid for it. So I think it was the best thing ever. If I'd had to pay it, I might have a different opinion.
It might have been the second best thing ever.
Exactly, yeah. But it was a great weekend. Just everybody was super. Everybody at the NHRA was super. Got a chance to commentate a little bit with Alan Reinhart, Tony Schumacher. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Got to come out on the stage as Grand Marshal and talk a little bit about brakes and what we do at brakes. And it was just, all in all, it was just a super, super weekend.
Okay, how about the takeaway of the 4-wide out in Vegas? What'd you think?
You know what? It was great racing. I thought the racing was great. The weather was awesome. The fans were loving it. I mean, Saturday the place was absolutely packed. Sunday I saw a few empty seats on the on the far side, but the main grandstand was full. So I think that people in Vegas or the folks that attended that race, they loved it. The racing was good. It was it was really good racing. I thought it was good racing.
And the chatter you heard amongst the competitors, everybody in favor?
Well, it's the same thing that we always hear, we do it because the fans like it and whatever. But you know what? If the fans like it, guess what? You do more of it because I guess that's what Britton thought when he built the second 4-wide track. I think it's a good deal. It's a spectacle. You've really got to pay attention in that 4-wide because things happen really fast. It's hard to, notice the staging and so forth like you can with, just two cars racing each other. But it was great. It was good competition, a lot of really close racing. Bo Butner that we're going to have on the show won on a triple hole shot in the final.
Right?
I mean, that was pretty cool. It just, it's hard. I think the concentration level for the drivers at those 4-wide races are really, really high. So I like it.
In watching the TV broadcast with the guys at Fox, seemed to be everybody was talking about the difference between staging in the outside lanes and on the inside lanes, and the thinking that maybe the inside lane's a little bit tougher than on the outside?
I don't think tougher. I think it's just something you got to get used to. It's, I don't know, actually thinking about it, I'm not sure where all of the winners were, but as they're saying on the outside, either of the outside lanes, then your staging lights are the outside lights. If you're in either of the inner lanes, your staging lights are on the opposite side of the tree. So I see where that's a little bit hard to get used to. But for me, when I'm in the car, I'm looking at the staging lights out of the corner of my eye. I'm looking at that top amber light because that is the only one that matters. You don't look at any other light. And if you do, that's when you get thrown off. Somebody else deep stage, somebody else takes too long to stage or whatever. You go in there and you know how to stage your car. You stage your car and you don't ever look at any light except your top
amber
bulb, your top bulb. That's all you look at. And if you look at anything else, then you're going to get thrown off. And looking at the reaction times,
quite a few people got thrown off.
Yeah, they get thrown off because it's definitely harder. No doubt about it. It's definitely harder. But
well, you're retraining yourself. This is something you've done basically your entire career since you were an amateur. Now all of a sudden, twice a year is different.
Yep.
And it is without a doubt.
It shouldn't be different.
It shouldn't be, but it's also the most important part of your day.
Most important part of your day, exactly. Well, at the four-wide races, I think there was more winners determined by hole shots than I'm sure any other race this year. And that just goes to show the winners, here we've got Bo Butner in the final had a 30 light. Mike Salinas in the final had a 41 light. So they weren't thrown off at all.
Yeah.
The competitors.
Nothing has thrown Bo Butner off this year.
Nothing's thrown him off.
Oh
no, 3 wins.
What a year he's having.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that with him here when he joins
us. He had a great car. He's doing a great job driving. I mean, he won triple hole shot. I mean, well, obviously that can't happen anywhere else besides a 4-wide, but a triple hole shot win, that's awesome.
And then a first-time winner.
Mike Salinas. There was so much excitement. I was actually at the finish line down there, congratulating winners. I didn't even get a chance to congratulate Mike Salinas, which I'm kind of bummed. I should have just waited and hung around. I was a little bit sad that Clay didn't win because I was pulling for Clay, and Doug Collette is my buddy, and I should have hung around a little bit longer until things calmed down and went over and congratulated him. I didn't. So luckily, I'm going to get a chance to do that on the phone right now.
Do you remember what that feeling was like?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I won my first IHRA race in Bristol, 1992. Raced Kim LaHaye in the final. Right?
Wow.
Dick LaHaye's daughter, Kim LaHaye, was driving Larry Frazier's car.
Of course.
Larry Frazier's car. Beat them in the final. Raced Lori Johns earlier in the day. Raced, I think, Gene Snow first round. I mean, it was
a big
cool.
day.
It was a big day. Winning that race, and Bristol is such a cool place.
Yeah,
that was fun. So I remember winning that race. My first NHRA race, 1993, Columbus, Ohio. That was pretty cool. I raced Eddie Hill, Kenny Bernstein, Joe Amato.
Trailered some big names.
I mean, it was a big day, and that was my first NHRA race. Steve Evans was my buddy, and he was he was the commentator, the far end guy. Yeah. That was unbelievable. That was a great day. So, yeah, I remember my first days like yesterday, and that was a long time ago. So
it's funny. It's funny you bring up Steve Evans. When I used to do the NHRA play-by-play on TNN. Back in the old Diamond P days, Steve was at the far end, of course, and I was up in the tower. And somebody sent me a link just the other day of there was a period, I want to say it was around 1995, where in pro stock, a bunch of the guys were laying down so their teammate could win and advance. I don't know if you remember this going on. And there was one weekend where Steve just let everybody in the category just have it.
Yeah.
And it was great to hear Steve's voice again and how eloquently he put it, but he put it in every guy lingo.
Steve was an announcer. He was a promoter. He tried to relate to the fans, and he actually helped me out, in my racing, in my interview career a lot. He says, Doug, I'm going to ask you a question. Answer the question. If you just answer the question, you're going to be better off than most of the guys, because I'm going to try and lead you with the right question. So just think about the question, answer the question. And to this day, I mean, that's what I try and do, is answer the question. And that's usually works out pretty good.
Listen, he was brilliant at it. And I don't know if there's ever been anybody better at the far end than Steve Evans.
I mean, back in those days, right, they had a great team, Dave McCall and Steve Evans,
Bob Fry.
Bob
Yeah,
Fry.
and Alan Reinhardt worked on some of those shows with us, and I was a part of that. Of course, I had to come in on the back end of Big Mac's career, and I was great friends with all those guys and still am. I always look forward to seeing Big Mac at like the SEMA show every year and reminiscing about those days. And, we miss Steve, Lord rest his soul, to this day.
Absolutely.
He was such a great friend and mentor. Man, what a great guy.
Oh, I've got some Steve Evans stories.
Me too.
One year, okay, so we're getting off track, and we're going to go to a commercial break here pretty quick, but we were racing up in Leicester, New York.
Okay.
And Steve, as it shows up at the track, Steve and Cameron, Steve's son Cameron, shows up at the track, and I go, what are you guys doing here in Leicester, New York? Are you kidding me? And he goes, oh, well, we live 2 miles down the street. What, really? Yeah, Brock Yates has lived here forever, and he talked me into moving here, and where are you guys staying? I said, we're over at this hotel, and he goes, go check out of the hotel and come stay at our house. So my whole team, we checked out of the hotel and went over and stayed at Steve Evans' house for the weekend. He had the pool and barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was like, this is awesome.
And he was probably in heaven.
Oh, he loved it.
Having all his racer buddies there.
Yeah, I loved it. He loved it. Cameron had a good time, and Brissett, we were telling old racing stories and all this stuff. It was just great. Steve was a great guy. Yeah.
I went from Knoxville to the swamps in Naples, Florida with Steve to all the big drag races. We had a ball together. Yeah, it was a good time. Okay, we could tell Steve Evans stories, and maybe one day we should do that.
We should do that.
That might be kind of fun.
I think it would be. We could just tell racing stories.
Stories. That'd be pretty good, too.
Selzy stories. That would take up half of the show right there. Just tell Selzy stories.
It'd have to be on another channel, though. It might not be able to. It'd be the end of our careers, right? Yeah. We've got Bo Budner, and we've got Mike Salinas.
First-time winner Mike Salinas is going to be on the show. Excited to talk to Mike.
And we are not going to ignore the controversy in Pro Stock Bike. We got to talk about it. We're going to talk about hobbyists.
Yeah, well, Steve Johnson and Matt Smith, both friends of mine, both friends of the show. We need to talk about that.
We'll get to it.
Yeah,
we're going to come right back. Stay with us right here on the Straight Line.
O'Reilly. The next time you need auto parts and accessories, trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. For decades, professional technicians have counted on O'Reilly Auto Parts for their knowledge and commitment to customer service, and you can too. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today. Better parts, better prices, every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. For more than 80 years, Detroit Diesel has been a legendary driving force powering many of the best-known trucks on the road. Through our state-of-the-art Detroit technologies in components and safety systems, we've earned our customers' trust as a reliable business partner dedicated to improving their bottom line. It's no wonder they continue to depend on Detroit to keep them safe and efficient on the road. When you demand it all, demand Detroit.
2019 is the Motor Racing Network's 50th year, and things are about to get a lot louder. I'm Woody Kane. The NASCAR season is revving its engine, and MRN's two biggest loudspeakers are back when race spotter Joey Meyer and I bring you the latest news, results, and headlines every Monday on MRN Out Loud. Crank it up Mondays on MRN.com, iTunes, or wherever podcasts are heard.
And we are back with more of the Straight Line here on MRN, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And one of the things we do every week is our red light, green light segment. So let's dive into that right now.
Red light, green light. All right.
Okay. So this week for red light, green light, I think this is one subject that could be a little bit red light and a little bit green light, depending on where you sit with this thing.
Yep.
The big controversy in Pro Stock Bike.
And I didn't realize how big of a controversy it was. In Vegas this last weekend, I talked to Smith and I talked to Steve Johnson, and I'm friends with them both. So I didn't know about the one part that I didn't find out till a little bit later, which kind of aggravates me a little bit. Yeah.
This is a little bit of the red light, right?
Right.
So for those of you that might not have heard about it, there is a new technical rule. They're going to add some weight, some of the bikes and some of that stuff. And look, there's always technical rules, right?
Yeah, that's
and
constant. They're constantly
change.
doing that. The Harleys outrun the Suzukis. They add some weight to them. The Suzukis outrun. They add some weight to them. Yeah.
Right. And that's always evolving, right?
Yep.
Well, in conversing about that, Matt Smith then ended the word hobbyist. And he was kind of talking about how some of the teams don't do everything on their bike. He's very proud of his organization and everything they've built over there and that they're doing all the work. And he kind of feels like that means, at least the way he worded it, that they're a little bit more, quote unquote, professional than some of the other guys. And the term he used was a hobbyist. Steve
that's
Johnson,
a tough term. Yeah, that's a tough term, right? So then, like we were talking earlier, so everybody except Matt Smith and the Vance and Hines guys are hobbyists?
They would fall into that category based on the description he used. And Steve Johnson took offense to that and voiced his opinion, as Steve Johnson does, in a long rant.
Yeah.
Now, they were both interviewed on the Fox show, and they both pretty much stood their ground on their thoughts there. How do you feel about that as a former competitor?
Well, I understand the NHRA adding, weight to the motorcycles that appear to be having an advantage. Okay, let's add some weight, because I've seen them undo it a couple weeks later. So
Sure.
They go a couple weeks later, and then the other bike that they didn't penalize wins. Okay, well, we made a mistake. We're going to take that 15 pounds back off or add some weight to you guys or whatever. So that part I understand, and that part I knew about. The part that I didn't know about was Matt referring to everybody else in the category as hobbyists. And as we talked about earlier, that degrades the class, right? I mean, it degrades the class. So you're saying Hector Arana that won this last weekend, or our alligator guy, that he's, they kind of pioneered the electronic fuel injection. They did a lot of stuff. All those guys are hobbyists? Man, I don't know about that. I think that I guess I understand where he was coming from on it, but I don't agree with that. I don't think that everybody in that class is hobbyists,
Yeah, I think I understand what Matt was kind of trying to get to, and I appreciate his pride in his organization. They've done a tremendous job over there.
Yeah.
They've built a winning organization, and they should be very proud of that. I don't think it achieved what he was thinking. I don't know if he thought it all the way through before he used it. In almost every other form of motorsport, Doug, there's teams that are utilizing components from an organization they don't touch.
Right.
For example, in IndyCar, all the engines are sealed. You either get it from Honda or you get it from Chevrolet, and you don't touch it.
Right.
Their guys do. In Formula One, the epitome of motorsports, if you will, in the world, if you're an organization like Haas, you get your engines from Ferrari.
Right.
And they tell you what to do with it, right? I don't think that makes those guys hobbyists. You're still doing a lot of aero
NASCAR,
work,
right?
and
TRD builds the engines for all the Toyota teams. None of the teams build their own
Yates.
engines. Roush Yates built for all the Ford teams.
Right.
I think Hendrick builds for most of the Chevrolet
most of the
teams.
Chevy guys. But
Is
you're
everybody
still
else
doing
hobbyists?
work as professionals
a
on
lot of
aero and chassis, on race strategy. And so that's why I think maybe Matt didn't think it all the way through.
I think so. And unfortunately, when you say stuff like that, you're also fueling the haters out there too, because there's going to be some people that are going to not like that comment.
Well, not only that, you take away from your own program, and that if you then beat Steve Johnson and the Aranas and everybody else you quote unquote call as a hobbyist, must not have been a big deal.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that.
I agree with you. I don't know that he thought that all the way through, because boy, I don't think that that's the fact. I think there's too many of those guys. Well, Hector Arana won the race out there. I mean, Jerry Savoy won the championship here a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And Vance and Hines builds his engines, but they pioneered the electronic fuel injection stuff basically with the Suzuki. So I agree with you. I think there's too many other things to go along to just categorize everybody. If you don't build your own engine, you're a hobbyist. Nah, there's more to it than that. I can't see that.
Okay. Well,
what's the green light part was?
Well, I guess to me the green light part would just be the technical rules part of it, that they're working to adjust it. They're on top of it, and knowing the NHRA the way I think we do, they're always willing to evolve it and morph it if the way it's working doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, and that's what Matt Smith said. He said, I think that was a knee-jerk reaction. The only good thing about that is, hey, if they go out there and take advantage of that rule, then guess what? There'll be a knee-jerk reaction back the other way too.
Yeah.
I think more of a knee-jerk reaction. It's a quick, it's a swift action. Let's call it a swift action.
Yeah.
Was it a knee-jerk reaction? I don't know. Somebody thought that it was a good idea, so whoever thought the idea was good probably knows more about it than I do. So
Right.
I'm not going to say it was a knee-jerk reaction.
Right. Let's go talk to a first-time winner when we come back here on the Straight Line.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Protect your vehicle's engine with Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get 5 quarts and a Wix filter for $33.99. Plus get a $15 gift card and 150 O-Rewards points. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Check out MRN.com for a new podcast series called The Tough Trucks of NASCAR. 25 years and still trucking. We'll take you back to some great races.
Benson to the bottom of the racetrack. This is the race for the lead and the win at Michigan.
And some wild moments.
One truck is in the air. Matt Crafton upside down.
And we'll let you hear the stories behind them.
He was too bullheaded to let me pass him, and I was too bullheaded to let him have it.
Download the show for free on iTunes and at MRN.com.
Welcome back to MRN's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ralph Shaheen, Doug Herbert with you. And you know, on the NHRA's website, when you look up a driver, they have these bubbles or circles, if you will, and you fill up each of those
wins,
circles.
runner-ups,
Yeah,
final
and it's
rounds.
career final rounds, career best ET, career best speed. Well, this guy finally filled the last bubble. Career wins. Mike Salinas, you got it done.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was a tough one too, but it is nice to get that gorilla off my back.
Hey, Mike, you've got a great family team, and you know you've been racing Top Fuel, I guess it seems like for about 5 years or so now. You've been building up the program. You've been in a position, it seems like, to win probably for at least the last couple of years, and to get that first win done, how satisfying, how great does that feel?
Well, it's more of a relief because we this year with Alan, we know that we have everything, all the parts and pieces, and the right combination, and the right crew, the right assistant crew chief, and the car is perfect. And basically, I think it was more me than the car. We did have an electrical problem at Gainesville and Arizona. We expected, I learned some good stuff about Alan Johnson. We expected to go into the race at Pomona and win the race. And Alan doesn't go into a race, and he's not arrogant. He's just very sure of himself, and he knows his programs that he puts together. That's why I hired him.
What does that do for you? Because you said that you kind of felt like maybe you weren't exactly where you needed to be. So what did Alan Johnson do for Mike Salinas, the driver?
Well, basically what he does is he builds champions. He builds champions because you actually think you know how to drive a car until you meet Alan Johnson, because it's more than just driving a car. It's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. It's a whole package. And the part is, look at how many champions this man has won, and you want to live up to their expectations. The hardest thing for me when we first started this year is going back to the pit when I made a mistake as a driver. So you literally have to rise to the occasion. And if you don't rise to the occasion, you're going to lose, guaranteed. But if you do rise to the occasion and you listen to what the man is trying to teach you about being relaxed in the car, being focused and being vigilant about what we do, you're gonna do good.
Hey, Mike, this first win was one that you definitely did not back into. Low ET, top speed of the race, your reaction times, 92, 85, and then a 41 in the final. You got it done, man.
No, yeah, believe me, I was a bracket racer prior to this, and I need to get back to that where bracket racing. And not even an hour ago, I sat we have a tree that they built for me with a seat, and it's just like my car. and I sit and practice, and that's my job as a driver is to make sure that I don't let my guys down, and that's the most important. So I practice every day. I sit on there for an hour a day, every day. So it gets normal. We're flying out tomorrow morning to Houston to go race over there, and our goal is to do exactly what we did over here. Let's try to repeat what we did. Try not to make any mistakes, and we have a fast car. We have a good car. We have good parts. We have plenty of everything. So now it's tuner, driver, crew, and hopefully we make it work again.
Mike, you talked about Alan trying to get you to relax and change your mood, if you will, on race day. How are you doing that? You talk about what you're doing away from the track to practice. How are you fine-tuning yourself on race day?
On race day, what I did do is I brought in another person to Adam Sorokin. Adam Sorokin is a Nostalgia Fuel driver. He just won the March meet in California. I brought him in because that gentleman right there has a reaction time of an average 0.25. And so what he did for me was, and it's a process, what he did for me is he showed me what he does and what he thought. He first observed me doing what I'm doing at the track, running around, keeping an eye on my two daughters that are racing and trying to take care of everything that's there. So I'm just not driving. So he told me that half an hour before we go out, I need to start calming down. So what he did was I went and I listened to some music, didn't talk to anybody, went in my own little world. And then a really important thing that he taught me that I used this weekend for the first time is I don't think about after the race, after the run, or before the run. I live in the moment, at that moment only. And for the first time, my brain was pure and clear and focused, and I didn't have anything bouncing off my walls in my head, and it was, and it's a hard thing. You're in this 11,000 horsepower car, and, little things pop in your head, and I learned how to block all that out, and it was really nice, and I'm like, wow, it really works. So I really appreciate what Adam helped me do.
Well, that is awesome. Having a clear, focused mind when you're driving a Top Fuel dragster is really important. Mike, tell us a little bit about your daughters racing. I know they're doing the Pro Stock motorcycle, and I think I heard a Pro Mod car coming up. Or tell us a little bit about your family. I mean, it really is a family operation you're running.
Yes, actually, I have 4 daughters. Oldest is 27. That's Jasmine. She is driving an A fuel car. She is in her second national event. She qualified 8th. She qualified 9th at this race here at Vegas. We bought Arthur Gallant's A Fuel team, and Arthur and Dan Page came along with it. They agreed that they'll stay with us for 2 to 3 years so we can develop my daughters as drivers. And they're going to all run through the A Fuel team, even the motorcycle one, Gianna. So we're trying to build something because for us, the girls, we do everything together. And so basically they wanted to race cars, and because I was out messing around with it, and they wanted to do it also. So I said, okay, let's explore it, let's look at it, and let's see how serious you girls are. So Jasmine picked an A Fuel car because it's the closest thing to a Top Fuel, and she wants to learn how to drive it. And so she went to Frank Hawley's school. Frank took good care of her, taught her some really good things, and she jumped in this A Fuel car, and her first run was a 526 at 276. And she talked to me at the end of the track, and she said, can I ask you an honest question? I said, yes. She goes, why did the car stop pulling at 800 feet? So she was very aware of where she was on the track. We checked the computer. Right at 800 feet, the car stopped pulling. And she goes, is this going to be like this all the time? I said, yes, that's what an A Fuel car does. And she still went 276. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this kid's going to be really good. And so it was amazing to watch her. It was amazing to watch her. And so she's going to get some experience in that. And when she is ready, we're going to move her into Top Fuel. And in about 3 months, we're going to start building her Top Fuel car. But we are not pushing her. If she doesn't come next year, that's fine. It's going to be her choice. All my girls, it's their choice what they want to do.
Well, I guess John Force has kind of laid the groundwork for any father in drag racing to kind of see how to take your daughters up the ladder of drag racing. it's got to be nerve-wracking.
Actually, I talked to John. I pulled him aside at Vegas, and he saw me running around, and he was laughing, and he just told me, he goes, how you doing? I said, I think I'm becoming you. And he goes, these are the rules. He gave me some simple, basic rules. Keep your children safe, make sure they're happy, and just keep them safe. That's all. The rest will come. And so he goes, if you need anything from me, just let me know. And him and Robert and everybody in racing has been very supportive, because I'm the only family coming in with 4 people coming into racing. There'll be 5 of us racing. We hired Karen Stouffer and Gary Stouffer and Greg Underdahl to train Gianna. That's my number 3 daughter. She's 21 years old, and 3 years ago she was never on a bike ever. She never rode a motorcycle or anything. But my girls have this thing that we taught them in our family, because they've been with us running our businesses for years. They believe they can do anything, and I let them know that if there's anything you want to do, face your fears, go do it, and go achieve them. So we're all goal achievers. So that's what she did. And the first at Gainesville last year, first time she sat on a pro stock bike, she sat on it. They rode her 3 feet, and she fell off the bike. So to see her doing, they were just barely rolling it with, by hand, and she fell off the bike, and it was something to watch. And we all looked at each other like, wow, is she going to be able to make it down the road there? So to see her going down the track at 191 miles an hour, and she's getting there. She was, you needed a 7:04 to qualify. She qualified with a 7:06, so she didn't make the field. So this will just make her hungrier.
Well, that's right. It sounds like you're putting them in the right position with the right people, with Stouffer's and Art Gallant, past champion there several times over. You're putting them in the right position with the right people to be successful, and obviously that's the same thing as you've done, bringing Alan Johnson on board with your program. Man, I'm proud of you, dude. You're doing it.
It's working. And so my number 4 daughter is in Milan, Italy, doing fashion right now, and she wants to drive a pro mod. She's 19 years old. And she wants to drive a pro mod, and all my girls want to do something different. They don't want to they don't want to race each other. They want to do something different, so that they can fill up different parts of the sport. And they're all individual, and so they and she's never been in a pro mod, but she walked over, and I go, these cars go like 260, 270, and she goes, it's going to be fun, isn't it? I just like, Jesus Christ, what did I create here?
Well, Mike, I can only imagine that you're an incredibly proud father, because it sounds like every single one of your daughters is a true success in a lot of ways. And obviously that has all come from what you've instilled in them. And you're a successful businessman in your own right and an athlete, winning your first national this past weekend. So what is it, how did you become that driven to become the success that you are on and off the track that you then instilled in your daughters?
Well, basically, when I was a little kid, we were hardworking people. There's 7 in our family, mother and father. My mom had 2 jobs. She worked at a cannery, and she also worked at was a nurse. My dad had he worked at a ladder company, and then he had a scrap metal business. And so they were working day and night, both of them. And so my older sisters had to raise us, and we had to basically grow up. So when you were old enough, you went to one of the companies and you worked. So you went to the scrap metal business and you worked, and we always worked. So we never had opportunities like other people. We knew that we had to move. So people would go on vacation in the summer, and well, we had to work, and we were out of school, so we had to work 20-hour days, and we didn't know any different. And we never went on vacations. We never did anything except work. So growing up, it was pretty easy. And anytime you wanted something, you just went and worked for it and made money. You bought my first car at 14 years old, sold a bicycle, bought my car, didn't have a license. My heroes were, I had asked my mom and dad to drop me off. They dropped me off at Fremont Drag Strip, and I would go sell pizzas and programs, and we'd pick up the scrap metal after all the guys left, and that's how we started. But we were the poor kids. And what you you always got to see how some of the wealthier people got to live, and that's where we worked at. And we knew that it wasn't given to them, because back then we were all pretty equal, except these people worked harder. They had families and generations of people that worked hard. So that was instilled in us. We didn't have the issues like other people. We went and worked all the time. So, like, I'd never been boating, fishing, skiing, motorcycle riding, any of this other stuff. All we did was work, you know. So, and so the girls, we own garbage dumps, and so the girls in the playpens in the office, my wife and I were running the companies, and the girls grew up in the garbage business. And right in the office, as soon as they were able to talk and run the computer, they were taking care of customers. So, and they went to private schools with the richest kids in the valley, and they knew that they were different because they worked 7 days a week. And we never let them go do things either. We always had to work. So they were well educated, all went to college. They did very well. And, you know, my wife goes to Harvard now because she wants her master's in business for no other reason that her 4 daughters are watching. And winning this race, don't care what the rest of the world thinks, but winning this race was more important to me because I set the bar in the family, and my 4 daughters, now they have something to achieve. That's it. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Well, Mike Salinas, you beat the best. Congratulations. First time win out there in Las Vegas. You and your team, just a wonderful job. You have a great operation. It looks good. When you come up, everything is clean. Everything looks great. And now you've turned that into a winning combination. Congratulations on your first win, Mike.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Well, and I got a funny feeling it's not going to be the last Salinas we hear about. Yeah. Mike, all the best to you this weekend. It's a great story. Nothing like hard work. You can see what it produces. All the best, and good luck in Houston.
All right, thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to be right back. More Straight Line coming your way.
O'Reilly. If road grime is making it difficult to see what's ahead, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help clear the way. Pick up 2 gallons of Rain-X windshield washer fluid for $7. See better in any weather with Rain-X windshield washer fluid, 2 for $7 at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, this is Mike Backley. Join me and the rest of the MRN crew every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. We'll get you up to date with the latest news stories and ready for the upcoming race weekend.
So many crazy things happen there. You know, it's one of those races where anything can happen, especially at the end.
Hear exclusive interviews, expert analysis, and much more.
Yeah, boys, how about that? Oh, yeah! Great job!
It's NASCAR Live this Tuesday night at 7 Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
Winged Nation with Steve Post, Aaron Evernham, and Ashley Stremme. Your destination for all things winged sprint cars. Each Saturday at 8:30 and 11:30 a.m. on MAV TV. Live at noon on wingednation.com and Facebook Live. Join us for in-depth conversations with drivers and personalities that make up the greatest dirt racing on earth. The Winged Nation Preview Podcast each Thursday previews the upcoming weekend. Winged Nation, winged sprint car talk covering dirt tracks all across America.
Back for the final segment here of MRN's A Straight Line presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And this weekend, the series is going to go racing in Houston, A-Town.
And Houston's a good place to win. I won the race there. 99 was, at the time, was the biggest payout ever. Top Fuel race was like $150,000. Pretty big race.
It's a good day.
In 99, yeah. Dick LaHaye, crew chief, and man, it was a really great day. So the times are fast. Baytown it's a low altitude track, high pressure density altitude. It's one of those places where the cars can run fast. There can be records set. So that's what we'll be looking forward to.
Track elevation is 39.4.
Plus, I was wondering it might be minus.
Yeah, 39 feet above sea level. That's it.
Yeah, it's a fast track. It's always been fast, but as we talked about earlier, there's a lot of settling. It seems like that track gets bumpy, so there's constantly work being done. I know the Angel family and the Gay family have owned that track forever, and there's always a lot of work that that they do. They like to have a nice facility, so I think that's one of the neat things that the racers like to go there and race at a place where. It's a family-owned track.
So you go from the 4 wide to this, and then you got another 4 wide coming up right after. in Charlotte.
Well, you know what? The good thing is everybody's going to be ready for the 4-wide now. So when they come to Charlotte, they will be ready for the 4-wide. There's no excuses. They've already got one 4-wide under their belt. So, yeah, I think it'll be good. To talk about last week, though, we already talked about Bo Butner winning his third, over 3 hole shots or whatever, 3-time hole shot win or whatever. Also, reigning champ J.R. Todd winning in the Coletta Funny Car. That's a pretty neat deal for them to win that race over there. That team's just doing great, man. They're proving why they got the number 1 on their car.
And what a great story Mike Salinas was too. Unfortunately, Bo couldn't join us today at the last minute. But if you do want to go to the races in Houston, go to NHRA.com. Click on the red ticket tab in the top right corner, and you can get your tickets there and come on out to the races.
NHRA.com. There you go. Figure it out. Go down there to Baytown this weekend, and in a couple weeks here, come to Charlotte. Go see the 4-wide race at what Bruton calls the Bellagio of drag strips here in Charlotte, Concord, North Carolina.
Yeah, we're both going to be there, right? You're going to be out there.
Oh, I'll be there, absolutely. Pancake breakfast, big pancake breakfast on Saturday at the Don Schumacher Racing Pit area. We're going to have a lot of fun, so don't miss the pancake breakfast on Saturday. You're going to be doing the Supercross thing.
Yeah, I got to go to New
I'll
Jersey
see you on
first,
Sunday.
But I'll be there Sunday. Yeah, ready to go.
Good deal. We're looking forward to it.
That's it for this week here on MRN's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. For Doug Herbert, I'm Ralph Sheen, the nicely dressed Doug Herbert. We will be back again next week. Thanks to Mike Salinas for joining us. Congrats again, Mike, on that first win. We'll see you folks soon.